Hi guys, hopefully my voice doesn't crap out on me again, but it likely will since it's the morning. I usually film my videos in the afternoon, but for some reason I feel like doing them in the morning so I have more time to do everything I need to do on Mondays. Mondays are my craziest days of the week. Well, one of my craziest days. Anyway, happy March. See, I'm crapping out again. Excuse me. Happy March. We are out of Mercury retrograde. It's hard to say sometimes. Mercury retrograde. We are, however, in Mars retrograde and Saturn retrograde, which, again, I'm not an astrologer. I don't know everything there is to know about it. Maybe I'll post a link below to an astrologer I like, and her name is Elizabeth Peru. And with her, it's not just like, here's the planets in this alignment and this degree, and, that's really bogus to a lot of people. They don't understand it. But she puts it in a way, and she puts it into terms where it's just applicable to your life and how this affects us energetically, how it affects our moods, what our focus is going to be on for the next set time, weeks, months, whatever. So from what I've gathered and from what I've read from her is that, and also from what I've felt, is that right now it's really a time for introspection. And though we want to always plow forward, right, and work on our goals and just keep going, it's kind of a time right now where we need to kind of step back and look at ourselves and see what patterns are coming up, what came up for you in February. I actually had quite a bit come up for me over the weekend, even though Mercury was going direct. I still had things coming up for me, unexpected things, and I was really challenged to go with the flow, and I think I did quite well. Considering. It's always about intention, guys. That's what I say all the time. It's what you try to put out there. It's not about expecting certain circumstances to happen and then getting upset about it when they don't happen your way. Things are always happening for us, for the greater good, remember? So sometimes, things are just happening for our protection and we don't realize until we look back. So just something to keep in mind, to keep going with the flow, to set your intention to have, a very loving relationship with yourself and with others, to be more compassionate and accepting of what's going on around you, no matter what the circumstances are. And I know it's really tough and it's much easier said than done, but this is what it's all about. So the next few months I really think are about introspection, and we may, of course, be working with other people on new projects and stuff like this, but I think there's just a lot of stuff coming up for our attention, things that we need to release, old patterns, old belief systems about ourselves. And I think that there's just a lot of relationship dynamics that are changing. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you should be fearful that all of your relationships are going to change and they're going to be altered and this person's going to leave and you're going to leave this person. I don't think it's about setting that fear out there. I think definitely the dynamics are changing big time, and we're becoming more aware, I certainly am anyways, of how I am in my relationships, whether that's with my family, friends, romantically. They all go together because this is the stem of our relationships, is ourself. So I'm working on being more assertive and standing up for what I believe in and for who I am, and being able to express myself. And for many, many years, basically my whole life, I have kind of tried to hide my emotions and tried to run from them, and I never really had a good time or an easy time expressing my emotions to people because I always feared how they were going to react to my emotions. But, of course, our emotions are always valid, whether people understand them or not, and it's not about being aggressive, it's about trying to learn how to be assertive. And, yeah, I've been kind of learning about that through Doreen's new book, Doreen Virtue, her book, Assertiveness for Earth Angels, which is just fantastic. And I think it's something that's really important for everybody because we learn through society and we just learn through our peers and our families as we grow up to really stuff down a lot of emotions and to be passive-aggressive or just to be plain aggressive, and it's just funny because the simple act of expressing yourself has become so challenging, which is just really interesting to me because it's a lot easier to talk to somebody and to tell them how you genuinely feel and to come from a place of love, but to still be assertive. And there's a way for them to communicate back to you where they can express themselves, and it doesn't have to be this full-on war of any sort. So just something that's interesting that I think is going to come up for a lot of people over the next few months. So this week I'm going to get to the reading here because I can blab on forever about all of these spiritual things. I'm going to do what I did last week and use 3 different decks. This week I'm going to use the Archangel Oracle cards, the Animal Spirit Guide cards, and the Daily Guidance from your Angels cards. So I'm going to focus here and see what comes up for us for the beginning of this week and for the middle of the week, and hopefully this will benefit everyone watching, and for the weekend. But yeah, definitely a time for introspection and definitely a time for career advancement, getting focused on our purpose and what we love to do, what drives us, what our passions are, and this just seems to be what the next few months are going to be all about. But let's focus on this week because we can only focus one day at a time here. So let's have a little focus on this week and not get too overwhelmed with all these retrogrades that are going to happen over the next few months. For the beginning of this week, we have crystal clear intentions. This is what I'm talking about lately, folks. This is with Archangel Michael. And it says, be clear about what you desire and focus upon it with unwavering faith. That says it all. It honestly all comes down to your intentions and not focusing on your fear. It's so easy to get focused on your fear, which I lived through last week. So fearful of just ridiculous things, but mostly of my past repeating itself. And the only way my past is ever going to repeat itself is A, if I didn't learn something from before, it needs to come back up to catch my attention. Not a big deal. You know, it's all a learning process, which is here to benefit me. Or B, I don't know if I said A or 1, but this is 2 or B. You know, like I said, I don't even know what else to say about it. Like, you know, the past only will repeat itself if it has to, if you haven't learned something. Or, this is what I meant to say. It came back to me. If you are focusing so much on fear and so much on the past that you manifest it again. Which again, just goes back to my first point, which is things will only repeat themselves if you haven't taken the main lesson from it that you need to. If you haven't taken the positive, light, and loving lesson from it. So, you know, it's not about fearing that the past is just going to keep coming back to haunt you. It's really, you know, something that we have to let go of is our past and take the light and take the love and take the lessons from the past. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to cut every single thing out from your past. You know, there's probably parts of you from the past that are still with you today, and there's probably still people or friends with you that were with you in the past, and your relationship has probably changed, or maybe it's stayed the same. You know, whatever it's meant to be will be. And I think sometimes if we grow and evolve, we kind of fear, well, who's going to stay in my life? Because I met this person when I was at this point in my life back here, and now I'm here, and I don't know where they are, but I'm not back here, I'm right here. We all grow and change and evolve at different times, at different paces. Sometimes people will leave your life, sometimes they'll come back in, sometimes they're just gone for good. You know, and sometimes people will stay in your life forever, and it's just not about getting caught up in that fear. It doesn't mean that you're any less of a person. It's not about being unworthy. You know, we are always worthy as we are, and that's all there is to it. You know, we can't define ourselves by our relationships, by our friendships. So that's just something I've been dealing with. You know, I deal with that a lot because I've had a lot of people leave my life. I don't really have childhood friends. I don't have friends from high school. I don't have friends from college. You know, like I go through very, very fast advancement, obviously, spiritually, and that really affects my relationships. And so, you know, I've had a lot of fear come up personally because it seems like everyone that I invest in and everyone that I have an amazing soulmate connection with seems to not last very long, you know. But I trust that it's all what it's meant to be, and again, it's focusing on intention. No matter what, I intend to send love and happiness to myself and to my soulmates, to my soul family, to everyone that mirrors things to me. And even though it's hard to deal with soulmates sometimes, you know, I'm really grateful for everyone that I have in my life, and for the people that I had in my life that were soulmates that have left me in this life. You know, I send love and gratitude to them too, because I think sometimes we hold anger years and years later, you know. I also dealt with that. Like, I had someone come across my mind who's been out of my life for probably 5 or 6 years, and they were a very important soul in my life. But they also broke my heart, you know. So it's tough, but I can't sit here all these years later and send hate to that person, even though I'm so glad that they're not in my life, because we had a pretty toxic relationship and friendship. But, you know, obviously I had a big part to do with their growth as a person, and they had a big part to do with mine. So set the intention of sending love to everybody. Sorry, guys. Whether they're in your life now or they were in your life before, you know, set the intention. Even for people coming in the future into your life, set the intention that, you know, you're going to be okay, that you're going to love and protect and provide for yourself no matter what happens in any of your relationships. And just intend to be loving and compassionate, you know, and not about expecting certain things from certain people, and even from yourself, you know. We expect so much from ourselves, and it's not about expecting all this stuff and then letting yourself down or feeling let down from others. You know, it's about setting the intention to be love, to get back to the root of love, which we all are. So that, I think, is really important to focus on. For the middle of the week, we have the platypus, and the message is stop complaining and focus your attention on the blessings in your life, which is basically just what I'm saying. You can focus on all the past hurts you've had, all the times you've been let down, and people change too, remember? Like, there's some times where maybe even if it's a family member that really gets on your nerves, or maybe it's a friend you haven't talked to in a long time, people do change, because remember, you change. Think about how much you change as a person. I'm thinking about how much I change, and I change and grow all the time, as we all do. And that means that our relationships are going to change, and the dynamics are going to change. And it's not to say that it's for better or for worse. I don't think that things are necessarily good or bad. I think it's all perception. And I think that everything happens for a reason, and there's often hidden blessings. And like I said before, it's always, you can see it more clearly when you look back. But anyway, it's all about what you focus on, what you choose to focus on. And this week is really about paying attention to what your thoughts are. And are you focusing on something positive, or are you focusing on something negative? You can look at one situation, and you get to choose the energy that you want. You know, do you want to focus on the positive aspects of it or the negative aspects of it? It's totally your call, always. And even if you have friendships or relationships where someone focuses on the negative, it doesn't mean that you have to focus on that. You have control over you, and it's up to you to do what you want to do. But as I was going to get into, people change. So, you know, I'm not saying have expectations that people are always going to come around for you, especially if they haven't. Like, I know sometimes we can be very guarded if we've had a bad past with someone, but people do change. And just have faith in people. You know, there's nothing better than when people have faith in you. And I have been going through that too. Of friends having faith in me. And when someone has faith in you to just be you and to do your thing, it's such an enlightening feeling. And it reminds you to have faith in yourself. And I think we need to have more faith in people. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be perfect beings, because it's not possible to be a perfect being. You know, we're perfectly imperfect beings. So just have faith, if anything, and set the intention and have this trust in people that everyone's on their path, everyone's on their journey, and everyone's where they need to be. And whether that includes you or not, you know, you have to trust that people are going through whatever they're going through for a reason. They're learning whatever they need to be learning right now, and so are you. So that's what it's about, is focusing on that and trusting that. Everyone else has angels and guides and can connect to God, to source, to spirit, to all these things just like you. You know, so we don't always know what's best for others. And it's just about letting go and seeing where things take you. And always just keep open, you know, try to keep your heart open to things that can change. Your relationships can change for the better. And And that doesn't necessarily mean that someone has to leave your life for you to have a healthy relationship. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have to stay in your life to have a healthy relationship. Everything changes. It just has to do with staying in the present moment and, trying to figure out what's best for you and what's best for your health and happiness and for all your relationships and friendships and all this stuff in the moment, and just kind of go with it. But my suggestion is to not ever stay fully closed to anything, because people change and time changes everything, and time heals a lot of things. And I'm not saying that we should settle or, allow people to come back who have abused us or anything, but at the same time I'm saying that we should be open to what the future holds, because you just never know who's going to come back in your life, or you never know when you're going to have another amazing opportunity come to you. So it's about staying open and staying focused again on the positive. Make sure you're thinking positively, especially this week, because things manifest really, really quickly, and sometimes we don't even notice it. So pay attention to what your thoughts are and stay focused on what your intentions are, and infuse your intentions with love towards yourself and towards others. And that's the best thing you can do, is send light and love to yourself and to others. And for the weekend, we have change in direction. This says, the changes you're experiencing are divinely directed by your newborn willingness to open your heart to love and our guidance. You are protected now and in the future, so follow your path to the happy outcomes you desire. Again, this is about focusing on where you want to go. And this also just basically touched on what I was saying. You're open. It's all about your willingness to open your heart and to love. And I think we often want to close our heart because of our past hurts, because of people that have hurt us, situations that have hurt us. We've all been hurt. We've all been there. We've all had tragedies happen. We've all had losses. We've all had to grieve a loved one that has passed away, or a pet, or something. We've all experienced loss. We've all experienced tragedy in some way, and some of us may have experienced it more than others. But regardless, we all know what that feels like. And sometimes we just need to admit to that too. There's such power in expressing your emotions to someone and being genuine with someone, and being able to fully express yourself and to open your heart and to say, not to focus on your fear, but even just to acknowledge that, hey, I have some fear coming up for me right now, and this is what it is. If you put it out there and you get it out of your system, then you probably won't manifest it. You know what I mean? I think when we stir things in our head for a very long time, when we focus on our fears, then yeah, it kind of starts to manifest. But sometimes you just have to, let go of the fear of even saying it. You have to say it sometimes and let it out, and just let someone know what you're feeling, someone that you love and trust. And if you have something coming up for you in your relationships with someone, then you should tell them how you feel and not be afraid of how they're going to react or what's going to happen if you express how you feel. It's so important to express how you feel. And that has your heart open. And I read a quote last week that really, struck a chord with me. And basically it said that it doesn't hurt to have your heart open. What hurts is when we close our heart off. Because love doesn't hurt when we have our heart open. What hurts is our fear of, oh my God, I'm going to get hurt. I need to close myself off. I need to, shut everything down and just close my heart off. And that's fear taking over. That's not love at all. So anyway, you can change anything. You can change your career path. You can change anything you want. You can change any relationship you want. You can change the relationship with yourself, which is where it always begins. And this is by having the willingness to stay open to yourself, to be able to be honest and open about your feelings, to be honest with yourself about that, and to be honest with other people about that too. And that's really what it's all about, is trying very hard to keep your heart open. And I suggest, doing what I was doing last week, and even doing stretches, of keeping your heart open, you stretch back and keep your, because many times we go like this and we hunch over and we hide our hearts and stuff like this. And even with technology and computers, we're always sitting like this, we're always slouching and stuff like that. And try, just to keep yourself open, keep your heart chakra open. Eat green, drink green, that's the color associated with your heart, and just try to stay open. and trust that it's safe for you to be open. And when you are open with yourself and honest with yourself and with others lovingly and assertively, that you can really change your life around for the better. And sometimes it's in the smallest ways, and sometimes it's in really big ways. So just try to stay open, stay focused this week on your thoughts. Really, really important. It's always important, but really this week it's about focusing on your thoughts and keeping them as positive as you can. And that doesn't mean that you're, shut out fear completely and pretend it doesn't exist. You have to be able to acknowledge your fear, write it out or say it, get it out of your head, because if you keep it in your head, it's just going to go on and on and on and on and on and on and on, and you may end up manifesting something that you didn't want. So, don't be afraid of your fear. Be able to face your fear in a way that, you can feel your negative emotions for a little bit. Like, write it out, get it out of your system, get it out of your body, look at it in the face. You don't need to be afraid of it. And from there, you can let it go. So stop complaining and focus on all the blessings in your life, and know that you can change anything you want. If you're not satisfied with something right now, own that. Look at it. Don't hide from something and say, oh, I don't like that in my life, but I'm not going to look at it because I don't want to look at it. How can you change it if you don't look at it? You have to look at it. That's like having a cut on your hand and it's bleeding, but you're like, oh, I don't want to look at it, because I just don't want to look at it. I'll just pretend I don't have a hand. You still have a hand. You still have a cut on your hand. You need to fix it. You need to be able to look at it and clean it, and not just stick a Band-Aid without cleaning it. If you have a really deep cut, you need to clean it. You need to feel that. It may not be comfortable. There may be a bit of pain there. You need to cleanse it out. You need to put a Band-Aid on it. Eventually, you need to take the Band-Aid off and let it heal. Things take time. But understand that you can change anything you want, and it starts with changing your relationship with yourself. And that only can happen when you let go. And you open your arms to the universe, and you open your chest, and you keep your heart open. I know it's hard sometimes, but it's really important to keep your heart open and to keep your mind open as well, and focus on the positive. I hope everyone has a great week. Please try your best to stay focused on the positive. If you ever need to email me, go ahead, justines.stream@gmail.com, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.